Yeah. And I know, Kelly, you talked a bit earlier about um, not realizing that symptoms were SM and because they become normal to you, or you were kind of being misdiagnosed with menopause. I guess a
Yeah.
question for you both is, do you find yourself and do you find it common in the community that you downplay your symptoms either to yourself or to others? Would you say that's quite typical? And what does that look like for you guys?
Oh, absolutely. I know I gaslight myself on the daily. I mean, I know Shauna and I, we've talked about that before where we'll think, well, is this an SM thing or nah, it's just, I did too much housework or something. So yes, we definitely downplay things.
I absolutely feel that way because sometimes we try to explain to others what's going on, but because it's again invisible disease, it's kind of hard for them to comprehend. So instead, I personally find myself either modifying an event that I'm going to and or canceling invitations as to not be the focus of the conversation because you never want to be the focus of that, right? Like, oh, we can't go here because she can't eat this, or we can't go. Like, you don't want to be that person. You still want to be invited. You still want to go to things. You just kind of downplay your symptoms so you can function. So if that means that I have to eat before I go to the event, or if I have to dip out because a smell is triggering me, or I have to put a mask on, at least I still got to go. But yeah, 100%, we downplay our symptoms, and I think a problem with that is a lot of people who try to get into clinical trials don't properly explain their symptoms and or their pain burden, and then they are disqualified for clinical trials, which is sad because we need clinical trials to help.
Yeah, absolutely. And do you think, when you do recognize your own symptoms, do you find that that changes either the care that you're receiving or your own quality of life, just kind of recognizing that and verbalizing it more accurately, maybe?
Absolutely. I think the validation and understanding our disease makes us more confident. I know it has me, especially going into doctor's appointments. I'm more confident talking with the doctor now. Now that I know what's going on, I come prepared with a list of questions for my doctor, and I make sure that I go through that whole list and hopefully get answers. So yes, understanding and being knowledgeable and learning about it I think it makes all of us more confident in ourselves and in how we present ourselves to our physicians and really to others.
Mm. And I guess as well, there's that kind of is there a psychological impact or a
Mm.
coping mechanism in normalizing your symptoms? And I guess the second part of that question would be, uh, what could people do to get to that level of confidence in explaining their symptoms kind of quicker rather than it being something that they naturally do with having had the condition and understanding it longer?
I think that the problem is when you live with a chronic or rare disease, your brain actively adapts to protect the constant trauma and stress of being sick. So we tend to convince ourselves that it's either part of aging or that everybody has this. And, again, that's why we would go for many, many years being undiagnosed.
Yeah, yeah. And do you think is there anything that sort of with the the experience that you have now that you would say to people who are maybe a bit earlier on in in their journey as to how that they can be more confident or have more confidence in knowing that the symptoms are related to their condition and talking about that with their healthcare professional kind of earlier in their journey rather than later? Is there some piece of advice that you'd give for either of you?
Well, that's where our group comes into play, is because we jump on that conversation and we make sure that that person is prepared because they are not getting their needs met. And so we will help them build a list of questions along with the Mast Cell Disease Society forms that they can print out and present to the doctors to get the information that they need. Because again, a rare disease, we have to advocate for ourselves. And yes, that might shock the doctors. That's fine. You know, they're learning, we're learning. We're never trying to insult them by any means, but we need to be heard and we want to be validated.